everybody, welcome back. Today we are in New York City with my best friend and we are having colonics. So we wanted to bring you guys along for the ride. Yes, you're going to come in the room with us. You're going to see exactly what happens because there are so many benefits to colonics. What are some you've experienced, Skye?
Okay, I think it was really, really cleansing and hydrating. I remember leaving when I've had this before, so hydrated. Also, it really helps things move through. We think that everything's out of our system, but I think in this day and age, as we age, we get slow transit. I definitely have this. I've had some organs removed and a lot of people have had similar sort of experiences, and it gets things moving that we didn't even know were there.
Yeah, I feel like it really does hydrate you on a cellular level. And I think this day and age, so many things have been unnatural, and this can just help hydrate us in the colon. And even the amazing woman who's facilitating the colonics today, Cecilia, she reversed most of her Lyme disease through doing colonics and raw food. So there's so much power in those. I know a lot of the healing institutes around the world, like 𝒔𝒂𝒗𝒆, they embrace and do a lot of colonics as well. So they can have so many benefits, in my opinion, whether you're facing a health crisis or just want to elevate your health and live your best life. So let's go in, guys. Okay, guys, we are in the colonic room. We're about to start. You guys can see what happens. I haven't had one in years. This is going to be amazing because we'll see the results, see what happens. We'll get to see Skye's reaction to hers. And we're with beautiful Cecilia. Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome.
And
yeah.
Cecilia, you guys, she's been on before. She's amazing. She actually healed herself through raw foods, juicing, and colonics,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, so tell them a little bit about that and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, so I was dealing with chronic Lyme disease and mold toxicity. I was able to get rid of about, I would say 80, and at this point maybe even closer to 90% of my symptoms, which were going on for at least 7 or 8 years before I came to this lifestyle. And it's incredible. I've been able to discover how raw foods and colonics go hand in hand because we're cleansing so much with the raw foods. Colonics help to bring them out in a safe way where it's not affecting our microbiome, because if we've got a bunch of waste in there that is creating a bad bacteria, a bad environment, we cannot have a good environment. So the colonics are rinsing that out as we're fortifying ourselves with the raw foods, and that's what I did. Within about, I would say, I started feeling better after 5 days of raw foods and colonics, and then after maybe 3 months, most of my symptoms were gone, and it was absolutely amazing because I had worked with a couple different naturopaths and used a lot of different herbs, different protocols. Nothing worked, and it was all about diet, all about the gut, you know, everything. There's so much, you know, it's about 70% of our immune system is said to be in the gut, and it's just so important, connected to all of the rest of our body and how we live.
Yeah, that's amazing. You discovered it. It's almost like you flush out like the old bad stuff and just start doing the right things, then the body can work on healing itself, right?
Yes.
And what are some benefits of colonics?
So some benefits of colonics, like one of the most obvious would be the skin. Because colonics are flushing out all of this waste that's putting pressure on all of our organs, it can create a lot of bloating, and it's visible in the skin. You know, we've got, when the liver's overburdened too, we're getting a lot of problems with maybe hives or eczema or different skin, you know, just rashes, all kinds of stuff like that. And so colonics, I have actually had one client who after just 1 or 2 colonics, her hives she had had for years completely went away. It just shows you how important it is to get those toxins out of the colon. Other things are obviously constipation. When someone's constipated, they may be having regular bowel movements every day, and I actually get a lot of clients who come in and tell me that, and they think they're not constipated, but actually there's a lot of waste that those, if they're thinking they're fine, they're not constipated, but the waste, if you think of a pipe that gets clogged around the edges, and then this waste is going through the middle, whatever room is left. And you can actually tell to what extent there's an issue by there's different ways, different types of waste, different consistencies, all kinds of stuff that would tell you. So if some people say like they don't feel like they're having a complete bowel movement, that's because they're constipated. If you picture that pipe, you know, it's just like whatever can come through. And the colonic cleans the entire large intestine. So it starts at the beginning in the rectal area, and then it goes all the way around to the cecum, which is the beginning part of the colon, and that's where the small intestine meets the large, slightly above there. And there's sort of a pouch there. A lot of people carry a lot of waste on the right side. So colonic will clean that whole large intestine, and benefits, you know, there are different illnesses that people have, like MCAS, I think Skye was saying. Mm-hmm. She's able to, you know, things like that can be relieved very quickly when you start to have colonics. There's more serious, like with me, you know, obviously the Lyme and the mold they didn't have a place to reside. You know, there's still other things in the body that need to be dealt with, but colonics are a really big percentage of getting rid of those kind of issues. There's also, you can breathe better. Brain fog is something that's lifted. It can be really lifted when you do colonics. It just really helps to get rid of inflammation in the body. So any inflammatory condition is going to be beneficial. It's going to be benefited by, with colonics. You know, there's a few contraindications if somebody has tumor in the colon, or they have, you know, colon cancer, or they've had a surgery, like an abdominal surgery within the past 6 months, something like that. They wouldn't be able to have a colonic, but most people can safely come and have colonics with very many different conditions that are greatly helped with the colonics.
Yeah, okay, amazing. And how should somebody prepare before we get started?
Yeah, so you can take 3 days, if you're not already on a very cleansing raw diet, you can take 3 days and use raw foods. And there's actually a really great raw food cleanse called the Vitality Broom Cleanse that can be used. And that's actually was Mike Perrine, who's one of my mentors. He created that cleanse, and he actually founded this studio where we are.
Wow.
Before it became 𝒔𝒂𝒗𝒆 Wellness. And this cleanse has smoothies, salads, and juices, and that you can do that for 3 days. I would actually suggest to do it even longer, and at least start out the day with green smoothies for the first few days before your colonic session.
Okay.
Other than that, you would want to make sure that you're not eating 3 hours before the session, and you're not drinking 1 hour before the session.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'd love for you to show us what happens, and then we'll see after how we feel. See if we notice a difference.
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay,
All
I'm
right.
excited.
So I'm going to turn on the water.
Okay.
Okay, and as I'm turning the water on, it's going to be body temperature. It starts out a little bit cooler for just a few seconds, and then it becomes around body temperature, or warmer, a little bit warmer, between about 98 and 101 degrees. And this tank, which is 5 gallons of water, only small amounts of water, a few ounces at a time, are entering the colon as the colonic happens, and it's simultaneously being released. And then there are times when I'm holding the water, I'm working with the tubing here, so that the colon fills up a little bit with water, which softens up any waste that may be in there.
And how long do people usually do it? Is it like a 45-minute water flush for a full 45 minutes or something?
It goes to 40 minutes, between 40 minutes and an hour usually, and 40 minutes is usually an average time that people are done.
And I'm assuming it has to be a really clean water.
Yes, it's very highly filtered, and
Cool.
yeah.
Well, we do need hydrating down there, right? In the world we live in. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is actually a very hydrating technique to get colonics. Hydrates the colon and just hydrates it. Actually affects our skin a lot, as I mentioned, where you can see it in the skin. There'll be times when you might feel a little bit of pressure when the water is being held. And during this time, when you're on your side, which will be the first 5 to 10 minutes, there'll be some longer holds, so you may feel a little more pressure at those times. And that's usually happening.
And from what I remember with colonics, sometimes you think you're so cleaned out, right? Like I eat a really clean raw diet and I do cleanses sometimes, and you feel really cleaned out, but then sometimes you'll come for colonic, you're like, wow, there's way more in you than you even think, right?
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It can be never ending. It's like,
and think with that stuff, think with having like a lot of especially bad waste or like too much excess, what it can do to our mental health too, our energy, our whole body, right?
Oh yeah, it creates a lot of, it can even create headaches as well, just having that waste. Getting the colonic is like cleansing your blood, because it's cleaned on a cellular level. You know, your body is your colon.
And I think way back in the day, they used to be popular for healing, like way back in ancient times and stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it actually goes very far back in history. I mean, this method obviously is not as old as that, but cleansing the colon is...
I mean, I see things on Instagram all the time that say like all disease begins in the gut, in the colon, right? So if your colon's clean, you know?
Right. I get people all the time coming in and saying, I don't know how this was all in me, you know? Yeah.
And you feel a difference. And so I don't know if people know, but there's 2 different ways. So you can do a colonic in a room where someone's helping you like this, or there's a style you can do it where you're alone in the room. So this is nice. I think it has a lot of benefits having someone in the room, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of the benefits are that with this method, which is called the Woods gravity method, it's what I tell people, what I like to say is that this is more like if you were to compare driving a manual car as opposed to driving an automatic. You have more control over the road, over what's going on with a manual car. And so with colonics, the therapist can be very intuitive to what's happening with the client's body and just adjust, the pressure that's going in, the amount of time the water is in there. There's massage, it's not something, so it helps to move things along. Once you'll be turning on your back for most of the session in a couple minutes, and at that point, I'll be doing some abdominal massage, which is really helpful.
Yeah. And what are your top questions with colonics? Anything else you think we should share?
People ask if, and I covered this before, but I'll say again, about the microbiome. Is it going to wash out good bacteria? And that's a myth. That's not going to happen. And there's, it's kind of like if you go to the dentist, you're having your mouth cleaned, your teeth cleaned. This is just as important, and you're not worried about that. Microbiome begins in the mouth. There's many parts of our body that has a microbiome. There's no danger of that.
Yeah. What are some of the craziest things you've seen come out? Have you seen parasites or like anything weird?
I don't see them commonly, but I have seen parasites for sure. Yeah. I've seen some, and sometimes it can be mucus that looks like parasites, but I have definitely seen, and this is often with people who might be doing a parasite cleanse, where I may see some parasites that come out. I'm able to tell too, so there's sometimes mucus can come out if there's a real imbalance with certain bacterial imbalances or SIBO or different things going on. They might have excess mucus coming through.
Okay.
There's different consistencies of the waste, so you can tell if there's a lot of constipation, a lot of impaction, or any impaction at all, this old waste that's coming through, I can see that. And if there's other conditions, like a lot can be told through what's coming through. Okay. And then when I'm doing the massage as well, I can also tell if there's impacted areas in the colon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Fascinating. Wow. I feel like I'm doing something good today. And okay, so we do the same type of thing, right? For like the 40 minutes?
Yes, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to refill the tank.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have you turn onto your back.
Okay, so we will finish up this colonic over the next 40 minutes or so, and then we're going to meet you guys in the lobby with Skye and show our reactions to how we feel after. Okay, so we just finished the colonic. I feel super relaxed. I feel really good, really clear-headed. My stomach feels amazing. I feel fantastic, a boost of energy. And Skye, how do you feel? What's the result?
I feel mellow. I feel chilled. I feel hydrated. Like when I feel
I feel high.
In a way, but hydrated for me is like life. Like any little creak or niggle in my body seems to go if I'm hydrated, and that's what I love. And
any niggle?
Any niggle, any little bump or any like little creak.
I love the Australians. Okay, well, I love Skye. I've never heard it. I love it. This was a positive 10 out of 10. You guys, I can't recommend these enough. I haven't done one in a couple years, and I got to say, I really forgot how good they feel. And I've had a really tough year. You guys both know, both my parents passed away, and I fell off a bit this year, like excessive amounts of caffeine, was going to Chipotle, doing stuff I never did, just trying to numb myself from the craziness. And it just, now that I'm back on track the last month and then doing this colonic, it just really makes me see how important it is what we put in and doing the cleansing, doing the detoxing, right?
So important, because when we're
you have a mic. Oh, my bad.
She's too relaxed.
Yes, when we're doing so much detoxing with a lot of raw food, high raw or fully raw, or just a very clean diet in general, it's really good to do the colonics because we're going to be reabsorbing all of those toxins if we don't clean out. There's decades of waste that we carry around, actually, and it's not all going to naturally come out without the colonic. It may be over years and years and years, but there's going to be a lot of difficulty, detox, illness symptoms if we don't do something to also detox the waste out of our body that comes from the raw foods, the high raw foods, or just a high plant-based diet. It's really, really important.
And you were saying, Cecilia, people on different lifestyles have different results, right? Maybe if somebody's doing a higher carnivore lifestyle, the colonic might be a bit more difficult to get things moving, right?
Yeah, actually with a carnivore diet, it's I don't generally see people who are on a carnivore diet because they don't get much result at all. There's not much coming through. And it's not that they don't have the waste, it's just they get really backed up. And I've had people come in and say they're really backed up, they need the colonic, and it's difficult. People with low fiber diets, of course, too. Like you would think if somebody's really backed up, they're constipated, go and get a colonic. But it's really important to add more of those plant foods to get things moving if you're going to do a colonic. And the more plant foods, the better the results of the colonic in general.
Can I ask ask a question just about if you've got a gut that's full of like a lot of protein and not much, say, plant matter and a lot of fat, and you hydrate it, do the cells or the waste breakdown take in as much fluid? Is that what's happening? That it's just not able to absorb and rehydrate and come out?
That's what I've found in my work. Yeah, it's very, very difficult when it's high fat and high protein to get things moving.
Because I've heard that high fat and protein are the hardest things to digest, right? That's what I've heard. Yeah, so
They're very
so that
slow to
makes
digest.
sense, right? Yeah, but I don't think it's good when we're backed up like that. I think things should be moving, right?
Yeah,
It's really important, and it's going to just affect us in so many different ways when we get it out rather
Up
than
here
just
too.
yeah.
Mentally, the moods. Okay, anything to end off with? Any advice for colonics? Anything you think we missed? Any misconceptions? Anything you want to share to end off?
Yeah, so one thing I want to say is that colonics also exercise the peristalsis, which is the muscles of the colon that allow you to have a bowel movement. Many people have sluggish peristalsis, and that's one of the causes of constipation, in addition to, of course, just getting blocked up from foods. It's kind of a vicious cycle because the foods themselves can cause that blockage. And it's like a never-ending kind of thing. So when you're getting the colonics, unlike laxatives, which are addictive and they actually stop the natural processes of the body over time, they can cause permanent damage, over time, where it's very, very difficult for people to go to the bathroom. So when you're having the colonics, it's the opposite. Your colon's getting hydrated, your peristalsis, it's kind of like taking your colon to the gym. So you're really exercising it. And it's a long-term result. It's not just when you're on the table. Actually, between sessions, you're getting the muscle is building, and people are having much better results at home as well. I also want to just mention that doing one colonic is not going to really be enough, like a series of colonics, and including them in your life, just like you go to the dentist and you're having your mouth cleaned a couple of times a year. Colonics, I recommend people do them seasonally at least, and it really depends on the person. Some people may need more, some people are okay with less, but the more that you do, the better. I even have some clients who come weekly, like indefinitely, they just come weekly, or they'll come monthly and they'll still do their seasonal sessions. And when you do the seasonal sessions, as close together as possible is great, especially if you're on a high plant diet. You can even do them like every other day, and doing like 2 a week for a while. Maybe for 3 weeks you do 2 a week or even 3 a week, and then kind of see from there. The practitioner will be able to help you decide where to go from there as far as the frequency.
Okay. And should people take a probiotic after, or is that a misconception?
That's not really necessary, yeah. But
Okay,
it's good to keep things light afterwards, though.
Yeah. As we're about to go to the oldest vegan restaurant in America, and I'm about to binge eat, so we're not always perfect, but ideally after a colonic.
Ideally.
Yeah.
Plant-based is a good start, though.
We're keeping up the health kick.
And yes, but actually, I shouldn't say plant-based, because some people think plant-based can include other things too. So I mean,
True.
Whole plant is good.
Whole foods.
Yes. So what I recommend is, like, if people have fruit that day, as long as they haven't eaten anything earlier or they've only had fruit that day, after the colonic, I would recommend fruit, or they could have vegetable soup or something like that if they prefer that.
Okay, good advice.
Can I also say that I have had colonics before and I had results, but it is so not you actually work on the gut as the colonics going. So there's different types of colonics. So it's definitely worth checking out. It's 𝒔𝒂𝒗𝒆, and I like this. But checking out what the practitioner does, because that was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And thank you, Skye. And yeah, thanks. I'll put the link down below if you guys want to check this place out. It's in New York. It's amazing. One of the best colonics I've ever had. And go follow. I'll put everything for Cecilia. You have Instagram pages, social media pages as well, right?
I have everything. So everything on Instagram is Beautiful Biomes, and other social media, and then CeciliaLeibovitz.com.
Yeah, and Skye, you're under Raw Skye, right, for everything?
Yeah, Raw Skye or raw.skye.
Yeah, and Skye's had a huge transformation too through raw foods. I'm sure many of you guys know her. She's my best friend. So we're out here in New York, and we're about to go to America's oldest vegan restaurant. I'm so excited, Caravan of Dreams. So stay tuned for that video, guys. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll put a couple good podcasts on the screen right now. I've had both of these amazing women on the channel before, so I'll put Cecilia's interview and Skye's interview. Go watch those, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.